apparently there is none, and that's just a full release of information there. Okay, number 5. Moving on, number 5. Discuss and take action on the David Potts petition for release from the ETJ.
I didn't see anything about it. Do we have-
Yep,
We do have some citizens. Was there any other comment by council?
well, we said at our meeting a week ago, and I don't know if it was Furman that said it or us, but that there's an expectation by the time the council receive these, they've been reviewed for accuracy and detail and other things. So we look at them, right, we read them, I know I do, and I'm sure you guys do. And yes, it all looks good, it looks very similar to the ones we've seen in the past, the numbers are right, but is that accurate, Tara, that someone, you and attorney, somebody's looking at them just to kind of make sure that there's nothing in there that we're missing?
I send them to Attorney Berman. I don't typically see a response. But again, one of the things that we will need to do is send it off to the certified surveyor, because I'm not that. And so, and I guess unless a professional surveyor looks at it, we don't know.
Okay. Well, I just want to clarify, I was a little surprised, because I know we did our cost breakdown, we're gonna discuss that later, but I just wasn't sure. I felt like more of the burden was on the council for us to catch things, like we did the first few, and say that number doesn't add up, or that doesn't look right, or whatever.
But the number that have come across our emails is getting so many that it's hard to.
Well, the good news, they look very similar, so that's helpful. I mean, I can read them quicker, because
Right, but the numbers themselves are not something that is easy for us to check.
right.
Okay, we do have some citizens that signed up. Dale Bryant,
I'll pass.
Glenn Strauss, Shelley Smith.
Pass.
Patrick Smith.
Pass.
David Emmer.
Pass.
Scott Lady.
Scott Leahy, County Road 2426. I just wanted to make the comment that I'm glad to hear the council is judging these applications for their legality. And I would like to say out loud to everybody at this table that is not an application based upon merit. It is based upon legality. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad West.
I'll pass.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on the David Potts petition?
Motion to accept it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, seconded by, I think, Anderson. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Number 6,
See anything wrong with this one either.
discuss and take action on the Ryan Scott petition.
Fine.
Okay, then Ryan, unless council has further comments, Dale Bryant,
Pass.
Glenn Strauss, Chad West,
I'll pass.
Shelley Smith.
Pass.
Patrick Smith.
Pass.
Chad West.
Already passed.
Okay, David Emmer.
Pass.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, seconded by Anderson to accept the petition for release by the Ryan Scott. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Number 7, discuss and take action on the Daryl Scott petition for release from the ETJ.
Yeah, it looks fine to me.
And I haven't heard anything negative from the attorney, so no news is good news, is at least,
Well, with that being said, does that mean that he agrees with the less than accept method of these that we've kind of gone by?
he hasn't said he doesn't.
He hasn't ever said anything that he did, so.
But
That kind of sealed it for me when I finally saw that in there.
But what he did say was that he's not a surveyor, and the surveyor would need to look over
Oh,
every
yeah.
one of these. He said that in the last meeting.
The survey part I can't tell you about.
That's what he
Yeah,
said.
but I think that's the authorized less than accept, so
Yeah.
if ever we prove that what you said was not true, well, that's the accept, we're
Yeah.
taking that
Yeah.
into whatever.
And we don't want to include someone else in the neighbor's land or, you know, have
Yeah.
some sort of error, so that's, you know, where we recognize that the surveyor would need to double check all that. Okay. Daryl Scott?
Pass.
Okay, Dale Bryant? Is anyone cold?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dale Bryant, Dundon, 2464. Yeah, the lesson accept, the only reason why we have to do the lesson accept, because of the limited data from the county. That's all we can do. So, but generally, at least in surveys, the lesson accept is a valid form of a survey. When anything is changed, you take the survey you have, less than accept what you're selling, or trading, or whatever, and that's acceptable. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, Glenn Strauss?
Pass.
Pass. Shelley Smith? Patrick Smith?
Pass.
Chad West?
I'll pass.
David Emmert?
Pass.
Okay.
Motion
Can I
to
ask a
accept.
question? Are you guys saying less and accept, like LESS?
Yes.
She's new, she's learning.
Yeah, I'm not
All right.
familiar with these terms, so thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion by Blake, is that right?
Yep.
And a second by Anderson, all those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, number 8, discuss and take action on modifying the fee for petition for release from ETJ with single and multiple applications with new information and considering adjusting payments. This was put forth by Councilmember White and Councilmember Blake. We, of course, now that we've just now voted in the surveying company, or their engineering with surveying company, we haven't surveyed any of these. So we'll probably have to go back and all the ones, I'm assuming, all the ones that we've accepted to this date will need to be double checked. And after talking to Justin Ivy and Mr. Hendricks on that, they said 15 to 30 minutes for each. So I just received a petition that had 14 surveys. That's $1,100 at this rate, just from the surveyor. That doesn't count the legal, the secretary, any of that. So at that rate, that is not something that was accounted for in our budget that the council approved. So that's concerning. And we're not trying to make a profit, but we don't want to go. We don't want to go outside of the means of our budget either. So on these. And it is an elected thing, it's not something that is for not everyone has to do it, it's something that's an elected thing, so, we've had some feedback that the entire town's people shouldn't pay for something that's an elected thing. So, did you fellas have anything?
Well, this was brought kind of to light because one of the citizens had 3 petitions come in and they were charged 3 times, which is the way we wrote it. And at the time, we weren't trying to have it that way, we just wanted to cover costs.
Didn't we
3
write it that
petitions or
way?
3 surveys?
Well, no, we wrote it, so much per petition.
Right.
And they turned in 3 petitions, so they got charged 3 times.
Okay.
And that wasn't our intent, but it also got us to thinking that we can't just fix that, we gotta fix it going forward because of what's happening. It's not in our budget to do these things. And of course, we didn't know, because we didn't know what that law was gonna do to us,
Right.
This is another unknown, and that is what is the survey gonna require? You said 15 to 30 minutes, that's not somebody coming out with a tripod, it's, right?
I think they're doing it on a computer, I think they're.
Yeah.
Well, they got, they're just gonna
That'd
go.
have to be, so I guess I would like to see what the engineering costs are before we decide, what is it we're gonna combine and take away. We don't know that, what it will take, even if it's 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes on a computer.
Well, even if it's 15 to 30 minutes, so that's $48 to $98, so that's $73 on average. I just took the middle, so $73 on average for each for the surveyor to look over each survey. And if you have 14 surveys, that adds up. And so I feel like the way that our fee structure is just flat $125, but I think it should probably be amended to say, okay, our flat fee, and we know more now. This is after 19 of them. When we first did this, we had just a few. We didn't really know all the costs involved. Now we know more. Okay, it takes deposit, you know, the CAD verification by the secretary, the redaction, the copying, 11.4 pages on average, depositing the check, letter of verification sent out, materials cost, you know, the legal cost of, Berman said it's $45, the mapping cost, so there are some costs involved, and that's not even including the time, the minutes from the secretary having to do all those in the packet, like assembling the packet. So you add that, it's another 17 minutes, it's not even on here, so, I mean, like, next month, we have 15 to 20 of them in the works. So that packet's gonna be 300 pages, and so, I feel like if we wanna minimize our costs, maybe we wanna have a couple council members look over these, and if they're pretty good, we think that they pass muster as far as we can ascertain, then maybe we just say, if there's a problem, let's bring it to council meeting, but if there's not a problem, then maybe we have something I'm trying to think of different ways to help with our costs, because I don't wanna charge citizens more than we absolutely have to, but we do know that our $125 is not sufficient. It's just not.
Does that meet the attorney's criteria for having us look it over if just two council members are looking over it?
He was fine with that, so he was saying, you know, the way the current law is written is if you just let it pass in 45 days, it automatically becomes valid. So we're looking at it, and so I feel like if we wanna reduce some of our costs, we could have a couple council members look over it, if we, you know, like we have been, okay, and then if there's a problem, we bring it to council, but if there's not a problem, then we just let it pass through the 45-day mark, we send them the letter, yes, you've been approved because of, you know, it as far as it, and then we have the surveyor look at it, again, that's another $73 on average, according to what the surveyor told me.
And that
So-
saves us just time here, basically.
Time here and packet.
Packets and stuff. But
It saves
they're
trees.
still gonna have to pay for the mapping and
Yeah.
the attorney to look at it and the survey.
So if someone has one petition, but they have maybe 14 surveys, that's, you know,
Yeah.
that, I don't think the townspeople, all of the town people should necessarily pay for
Well,
that.
I
It's
agree
their
with that.
option to do
Yeah.
so.
We already established
That,
that.
yeah.
And we do need to
But
fix
all
this
the
number.
townspeople pay for the annexations.
What annexations?
There's expenses to the annexation that we approved.
I know that, we had one little one.
Just saying.
Yeah.
We're looking at,
Now, I will tell you, I talked to Mayor Craig of Union Valley, he said anytime they have an annexation or de-annexation or he said if we have these, we're gonna charge, they have to get their own survey, it's on them, a new survey.
so just working through this worksheet that you chopped up, if it's going to this extreme, why is there a CAD verification?
That's just, Teresa going, she said she did this, she just wanted to make sure that the numbers that they provided were the ones on the actual CAD map. It doesn't take her that long, but it is part
But
of
that
the
won't
process.
apply to a survey.
I'm not saying it's a survey.
I'm saying we're going to the surveyor route, so verification of the CAD map's not important.
Yeah, it's not, but that, she said she's real fast at it, cause the
Well,
CAD map is
we're
pretty good,
trying
but
to
that's,
reduce
yeah.
minutes though, because some of the secretarial duties, regardless of what the town decides, some of these are cost of being in business, cost of being a town.
Well, but-
Deposited checks, I mean, that's a cost of doing business.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be deposited this
Just-
week, we can wait a month.
Recognize though that we don't go to the bank very often. These have
Okay.
caused us to have to do that. So it's outside the norm of what we've had. So it is something different
Are we
than
gonna
what we've
amend the
had.
number of hours we can have her work if we're not paying her to do this extra work?
Well, I'm trying to specify that we can reduce minutes by things that we don't necessarily need.
But right now,
Through
we,
deposits, CAD verifications.
Well, if we get a safe, I don't know if I really like somebody's personal information left here.
Well, we do,
I mean, I know it
that's the
happened.
criteria of being able to lock it up behind you.
Door, that's enough.
Well,
Uh,
what about mapping? Is that a 1 hour rate mapping?
1 hour rate.
So it takes 1 hour to remove?
Well, we haven't mapped any of them because we've had so many coming in, and like this last Thursday, she came in because she was sick on Thursday, had that reaction. So she came in on, was it Monday? And the entire 5 hours, she was doing nothing but ETJ removals, the entire time.
I'm pretty sure that's being charged like the attorney fee, where it's really per job, not so much per hour. Or whether it takes her, half or two, it's all the same.
Well, and at the risk of poking the bear, I'm looking at the legal bill we just approved, and there's nothing on here for petitions, so either he's not looking at them or he's not charging us, because I know we had some in February.
We need to ask about that.
I just wanna make sure, because the questions I'm getting asked by people is, are we actually incurring these costs? Or is this, and I know you said it's not, I'm not bringing it back up, but or is this some sort of a punitive thing? And I don't think that's the intent. We're just trying to make sure we cover it. But, I would argue too, these citizens, whether they pull their property out or not, are still paying fees to the town. They're still paying franchise fees, they're still paying sales tax. I mean, they're still contributing to the town.
Are they? I mean, some are, some aren't. There's
Well,
some who are
some
not at all.
EGA releases, they're not even in the town,
They're
so.
not, they're not at all.
They're not
They're not
contributing
paying anything.
anything.
Yeah, there's
Right,
several
but
who are
but we're not clear that the comptroller, I'm not clear on how the business has decided to be in the town, or how they decide to get money from them or not, or Amazon, so I'm not convinced that people that are 100% in the ETJ are not paying part of the tax, the sales tax.
Well, again, they're very familiar with this kind of setup, and, I don't like to second guess the experts.
No, but I
much,
understand, but it's hard to believe that it's only that 300-foot stretch that they're collecting tax dollars from, that if your house is back further or whatever, so I don't know that,
Well, and I guess we would have to hear from someone in the ETJ if they were charged a 1.5% tax or not.
yeah,
They
that's
may or may.
completely in the ETJ.
Right, and there are some who are completely in the ETJ who are filling out petitions, so again, there are some who are not paying a dime to the town.
Well, those are the things I'm being challenged on, so I don't know.
Sure,
But
no,
I
I just-
do notice, just coincidentally, we got the invoice in front of us, we just approved it, there's not a single petition reference on here unless I'm reading it wrong.
No, I didn't see it there either.
So, and I don't think he's like our last firm that stores things up and hits us at the end of the year with a huge bill, so I'm guessing this puts us even at the end of February, so.
So
Good
also,
question too.
Yeah,
so just out of total transparency, and y'all have data that you didn't have before you make your decision. So 20 cities responded to a request that they charge a fee. There's nothing hidden. I've reached out to more than 20 cities. 20 responded. Terrell, Quinlan, Rockwall, Kaufman, Crandall, Scurry, Wills Point, Forney, Edgewood, Oak Ridge, Cottonwood, Union Valley, Fruitvale, Wolf City, Emory, Cattle Mills, Levant, Farmersville, Princeton, Josephine. 20 no's.
Do they have property taxes?
Yeah.
Just giving you information
Well, a lot of
that you do
them
not
do.
have.
okay,
Well,
but here's
I'm
the other
asking what
thing
question.
is, poetry has,
Pull that information.
like the attorney said, we have exponentially more of these than any other city in the state. Any in the state.
I was
So
going to
there's-
tell you so.
He said, Terrell, I saw on their website, they have what, at least like maybe 20 or something? But Union Valley has had 0. Union Valley has had 0. He goes, well, we would just ask him to do a whole new survey. That's what he told me. Now, I don't know if his board will, or his council will agree, but that's what he told me. So they haven't had any. And I talked to other mayors, they haven't had any. So it's, I guess it hasn't come upon them.